Hey guys, what's going on? Watomarmelon here today, and today I'm going to be bringing you another market watch for December 5th. As always, clicking the eBay links in the description below is the best way to support the channel. If you guys subscribe, like the video, that obviously helps as well, but anytime you click an eBay link in the description and make a purchase on eBay within 24 hours, I get a small commission, and that's greatly, greatly appreciated. But without further ado, let's get into it. Starting off with our favorite never reprinted card. Obviously, I'm sure you guys have heard the stories that, and there's speculation that this thing never will be reprinted due to copyright infringement. But this card is a beautiful card, iconic card, and I think its history has only really grown. I don't think this was the most iconic Neos fusion back in the day. At least I can't remember. As a kid, I don't know. I didn't really have a ton of skin in the game. I just watched the show. But nowadays, this is definitely becoming one of the most iconic monsters from the GX era. And if you look at the the prices, you can see some Korean copies, Italian damage stuff, mod play on limbs are going for $330. I guess there's a lightly played for $340 right here, which seems pretty reasonable. Goes up to a little under $400 for near mint on limbs. But if you're looking for first edition one, lightly played is going to run you around $600, and then near mint's going to be $1,400. So there's quite a steep increase as you get up to those better conditions in first edition. Next up, we have Elemental Hero Shining Flare Wingman, one of the other most iconic cards from the GX era. You can see that the sales rate is really abysmal on these sort of GX Ultimate rares. They're just very, very expensive. There aren't that many of them, so people aren't they don't feel super pushed to sell them off at lower prices. You can see that there's a unlim lightly played for $640, but there's a first edition for $650, so why would you buy the unlim? And then if you're looking for near mint first edition, it's going to run you $1,900. I think unlim's around $800. So pretty expensive card. I don't know if I'd ever pay any of those prices for this thing, especially when I see things like this. So Cyber Dragon Ultimate Rare. If you're trying to get a near mint first edition copy, it costs you $850. But I was able to buy a PSA 9 of this card on PWCC for $650, and then with buyer's premium is maybe like a little over $700. So it really begs the question, why would you pay for these not unlim, but like these raw copies on TCG Player when I've had an experience with Top Table Gaming, Cow's House, some of the Fat Panda cards, a number of these sellers, I've experienced them selling you cards that are not in the correct condition. And my experience is with cards like this, if they're in really good condition, if they're in near mint condition, they'll just grade them because the chance of getting a 9 or a 10 usually improves the value by so much it's worth just sending it in. And so people aren't selling mint copies of cards like this anymore on TCG Player, and so it's reflected in the sales rate. I mean, there isn't a single near mint first edition sale in the past. How far back does this go? Back into August. I mean, we're looking at 4 months without a single sale on TCG Player. Next up, we've got some of my favorite modern cards to be released. I should have bought playsets of this, and then you'll see the next one, Legendary Magician of Black, during the Cyber Monday and Black Friday sales, but I didn't. I forgot. And so you're looking at about $38 for near mint first edition on this. And then for the Magician of Dark, near mint first edition, you can get Italian for $25, and then just regular English is going to cost you $27, which isn't too bad. I really like these things a lot. They went kind of crazy during the pandemic. Like, people were buying these things up at some point, I believe the Legendary Dragon of White was up to $100. Okay, it doesn't go back far enough, but I'm pretty sure if you keep tracing this back to like early 2021, this thing went for $100, and now it's, closer to 40. So who knows? Next up, we have the Dark Magician Girl Lost Art promotion. This thing is doing quite well. You can see that it's sort of slowly growing. It's a nice slow growth, albeit this is a pretty small scale in terms of the dollars. That indicates that people are actually enjoying this thing, and there aren't enough of these things to sort of satiate the entire demand for this product. If you go back, there's still an overall linear trend, although, going back a year, you see that it's starting to recover a little bit. You can get tons of foreign copies, but it's going to cost you $25 for an English one. Something to note is that this is the version that has the shadowed box, so this is the re-wave of Dark Magician Girl. And if you want the original print from 2020, that one is also seeing a much sharper increase on the 3 months time scale. You can see that you can get tons of foreign copies. Well, these are Japanese ones, not even the correct one. French copies are at 20, and then let's just do listings without photos. You can see that near mint unlims are going to run you around $36. So a pretty interesting card. Not my favorite card, to be honest, because you can get the Japanese one for so much cheaper. But if you're looking for an English one, there probably aren't. There are a lot of these printed, but it's not the same as something out of a core set, for example. So, it is what it is. I don't really like the modern ultra rares all that much. I don't think the foiling looks that good, so I'm not going to buy something like this. Also, Dark Magician Girl isn't my favorite card, so it is what it is. Let me know if you guys are picking this one up. Next up, we have Magician of Black Chaos out of Premium Pack 1. You can see that this one's starting to go up a little bit. If you zoom out, you see that the trend has actually been going on for much longer than that. So over the last 6 months or so, it really has started to pick up in price again. You can see that people have been buying a couple of these recently. Near mint on limbs, you're still going to get them for $8, so it's really not a whole lot to buy into. Unlim lightly played, or I guess there's no first edition. Lightly playeds are around $3, so this is a really beautiful looking card. There are a lot of them out there, which is why it's not super expensive, but if you're just looking for something that's cheap to put in a binder, this is an incredible card. And if you look at the Speed Duel Trials of the Kingdom, while I was looking for the secret rare, I noticed this one. You can see that this price has gone up quite considerably. I'm wondering if there's a specific day where it was bought out. Okay, if you look in the sort of these days in October, although the sales rate has been somewhat steady, but you can see that there's basically none of these left. There's one seller with 9 of them, one seller with 3 of them, and then 2 other sellers, and then it's just done for. This is the ultra rare out of Speed Duel Trials of the Kingdom. I believe that's back when they did Speed Duel booster boxes. But as you can see, not a whole lot left. So if you're into Speed Duels collecting, that's something you might want to pick up sooner rather than later. Next up, we have Magician's Valkyria out of the Jump promo magazine. This card has kind of been all over the place. If we look at the yearly, it's come down quite a bit. You can get your damaged copies for cheap. And then lightly played, you're going to be looking at $5 to $6. We go to near mint, we're going to be looking at closer to $9, and then it goes quickly up to $10. So this is a really nice card. I love old school ultra rares. I think the foiling is just so much deeper. I really don't like the foiled stars for anything but secret rares. I think that I don't know why, but it just doesn't look good in my opinion. Also, the foil itself is not, the word I use is deep, but it's not as rich. It doesn't, I don't have a good word to describe it. My diction's not precise enough, but, when you look at the old school foils, they just look so much better than these newer ones, specifically the super and ultra rares. I mean, I think new secret rares look incredible. I think starlight rares look good. I love collector rares. I know a lot of people hate on ghost rares, but I actually think they still look quite good. But ultra and super rares, not so much. Speaking of super rares, we have Magician of Faith out of Champion Pack 2. This thing's always been super expensive. When you look at some of the other versions, you can find a lightly played English, supposedly. Okay, that is a one out of a structure deck. So let's do without photos. So you can see lightly played. There's some guy, Gamer's Choice, so huge card shop that has a bunch of them for $420, and then near mint's gonna run you $580. I mean, that's a lot. I've never been a super big fan of the Champion Pack stuff. I have the Wave Motion Cannon because that's the only hollow version in sort of the old school foil that you can get of Wave Motion Cannon, which is such an iconic card. I mean, it's the center of all the old school burn decks. But, I've never been a huge fan of Champion Pack, but it seems like these prices, albeit well, I guess there just haven't been any sales of this stuff. Yeah, so few of them that it can't really make a nice graph of them. But I feel like Champion Pack has come down a little bit, as has everything since the sort of peak. Here's another Champion Pack card. We have Magicians Unite. This one I don't think is super playable, but it's got a nice artwork, and it's an ultra rare from Champion Pack, so very, very rare. Sales rate, as you can see, leaves a little something to be desired. Only 2 sales in the past 4 months. Lightly played, you're looking at 70. And then near mints, you can find them for 78 and up to 80 for a verified seller. Next up, we have the Dark Magician Girl Secret Pharaohs rare. This is one that I've been watching pretty intently because I don't know what to think about it. You can find them from unverified sellers for a little bit less. $350 is what a verified seller's selling it for. I'm not a huge fan of this card. When you compare it to something like Magician's Force, even just looking at an unlim near mint, you can get it for cheaper than the Secret Pharaohs rare. Why would you not just buy the unlim secret rare out of Magician's Force? I just don't understand. And then obviously if you go up to near mint first edition, this thing's absurdly expensive, $2,500. Don't ever buy these. Just buy a PSA like 8 or 9 and crack it. Doesn't make any sense to buy it at these prices. But again, that's why I think this price can't hold in the 350s, because there's a Magician's Force, even though it's unlim, those unlim boxes are basically extinct. No one's opening up Magician's Force anymore, because it just doesn't make sense to, unless you just have absurd amounts of money. Because of that, those secret rare unlims are worth quite a bit, and the fact that they still are less expensive than these modern prints makes me a little uneasy about the prices of the modern prints. And then finally, we'll look at the Ghost Rare. The Ghost Rare went up for a little bit and is coming back down. Although I will say that the sales rate on a lot of these Ghosts from the past Ghost Rares has been very impressive. Especially during Black Friday, you see a lot of people who are kind of waiting for the sales so that they can buy them. And it still kind of remains steady, where we're seeing a lot of sales at a bit lower prices, but people are still picking these things up for sub $200. Let's see what a near mint goes for. I see one at, around $200 for a near mint first edition. So I'm always monitoring this one. This one makes a little more sense to me than the Secret Pharaohs rare, because there's a secret rare original print unlim for cheaper. And this one, is still cheaper than those, but to each their own. And then looking at Ghost from the Past more broadly, this is something I've been monitoring. Some of the listing numbers have come down quite a bit. Some of that has to do with Black Friday and Cyber Monday. There were a bunch of sales. You could get 15%, I think, with Premium TCG Player on Black Friday, and then Cyber Monday was, I think, 10%. So tons of bonus bucks that people were buying. Cyber Dragon is one that I've been monitoring. It has 15 less listings than before, which means people are really buying this thing. And if you look at the sales rate, tons of them have been bought recently, even after Black Friday. I mean, just look in these days. But let me know what you guys think. If you did enjoy, make sure to drop a like, subscribe, all that sort of stuff. It's been your boy Watomarmelon, and peace out.